and shaven, but alive, and there is hope that I may thrive. October 9th, 1920, Ellis Island. Dear Tova, at last I have seen someone from the family. I had started believing they weren't really here, that something terrible had happened to them, and no one would tell me. I thought the Americans had stolen them away and imprisoned them, and I would never see them again. But Saul came. He skipped school and came to see me at the hospital. Mama and Papa and the others can't get away, he said in Yiddish. They must all work. I thought I'd come. Tova, when I saw him, he's so big, so handsome. I almost cried. But I wouldn't let Saul see me cry. He walked through the door and stood there looking around the ward for me. Saul! I called out. I ran to him and threw my arms around him. He backed away. He backed me away and looked down at me. Rifka? What's the matter? I asked. You don't recognize your own sister? He swallowed. I saw the big knob in his big neck go up and down. You look different, he said. I touched the kerchief covering my bald head. My hair. I said, it's been gone a long time. No, it's not that. He said, I don't remember your eyes being so big. I have the same eyes, Saul. I took my brother by the hand and led him into the ward. I was glad to have a bed of my own when Saul came. It would embarrass me if he should learn I slept in a crib. He would never let me forget that. Here, I brought something for you. Saul reached into his pocket and brought out a banana. His eyes twinkled with mischief. I took the banana and peeled it and started to bite into it. Then I remembered how he had shared with me and Motziv, and I offered him the first bite. He shook his head. The sparkle had gone from his eyes. He looked disappointed. What's the matter, Saul? I asked. How did you know how to do that? Saul asked. How did you know to peel the banana? In Russia, we didn't see bananas. I laughed. Is that what's worrying you? There are lots of bananas in Antwerp, I told him, and chocolates, and ice cream too. Huh, Saul said. I guess you're not such a greenhorn. What's a greenhorn? I asked. It's when you come off the boat and you don't know what a banana is, Saul said. Well, I guess I'm not a greenhorn, then. Saul was dressed like a dandy. He wore knickers and a stiff shirt. A cap sat cocked on his head. He was showing off in front of me. He wanted me to say something nice about his clothes, but he had hoped to make a fool of me with that banana. I didn't want him to know how handsome I thought he looked, my American brother. When Dr. Askin came by on his rounds, I spoke English, introducing the doctor to Saul. Dr. Askin said, It's a pleasure to meet you, young man. Saul, my giant brother Saul, looked down at his big feet and said nothing. His ears turned red. Saul, I said, kicking his shoe with my boot. Still, Saul said nothing. He is happy to meet with you too, Dr. Askin, I said. Are you not, Saul? Saul nodded. Dr. Askin said goodbye and walked away. Dr. Askin is my friend, I told Saul, still speaking in English. Why did you not talk to him? He is a good man. He brings the comics here. We look at the pictures. I can read a little. You read English too? Saul asked. A little, I said. I am learning each day. Nurse Bowen helps me. Dr. Askin helps me too before he and Mr. Fargate talk about patients. Your English, Saul said, is very good. Where did you learn to speak this way, Rifka? You learned this in Antwerp too? Yes, I told him. I learned much in Antwerp. Saul looked at me with his head tilted to one side. My sister Rifka speaks like an American in 1 week. 9 days, I said. I've been here 9 days. Smarty, he said. He lifted his hand to tousle my hair, something he used to do when I had blonde curls back in Russia. Saul pulled his hand back before he touched the kerchief, hiding my bald head. What should I tell Mama about your hair? He asked. Tell her the truth, I said. It's not growing. Why should it grow now? It hasn't grown in a year. Saul looked down at his feet. So they will send you back? I didn't know what to say. Saul looked so big and healthy and uncomfortable in the busy hospital ward. I smiled at him. If I have to go back, Saul, I'm sure I can stay with Bobby Ruth or Uncle Avram and Tova and Hannah. It won't be bad for me. Saul and I both knew the truth. We'd left Berdichev to save his life. Because of this, I might very well lose mine. Just then, Ilya appeared, wiggling his way under my arm. I introduced him to Saul in English. This is my little friend, I said. He also comes from Russia. Saul noticed the book of Pushkin that Ilya pulled out from under my pillow. Ilya likes to read, likes when I read Pushkin to him, especially in the afternoons when things quiet down for a little while around the ward. What have you got there? Saul asked Ilya in Yiddish. Ilya did not answer. He looked frightened of Saul. Saul took the book from him. Ilya's eyes flashed with anger. Ilya, I said in Russian, this is my brother. Ilya looked from me to Saul, but he is a stubborn little boy. He tried to get the book back from Saul. Between the two pulling at it, Tova, the Pushkin dropped and fell open. My Star of David, the one I had woven from broom straws in Antwerp, bounced off the floor and broke apart. Ilya knew how precious the little straw star had been to me. Always he had handled it with such care. He looked into my face, blinked his green eyes, and ran out of the ward. He's a nasty little peasant, Saul said. I don't believe you, Rifka. What are you doing with this peasant? And this book? Throw it away. It's a Russian book. What is all this scribbling inside? Leave it alone, Saul, I said, grabbing the book and holding it tight to my chest. I was angry at him. He had broken my star, but I was angry at him for more than that. Inside, it felt like much more than that. You can't tell me what I should throw away, I said. It hurt deep in my heart, Tova, but at this moment I loved Ilya more than I loved my own brother. This book, it's mine. Saul grabbed for the book again, but I stood my ground, squeezing the hard cover against my ribs. You're different, Rifka, Saul said. I am the same, Saul, I cried. Still, my life has gone on while we've been apart. I am older in many ways since you left me in Warsaw. You're still my little sister, though, Saul said. Saul's dark eyes burned with anger. But something else burned there, too. I remembered Pieter and what he'd said about my being a treasure to my brothers. I put my hand on Saul's sleeve. Yes, I am still your little sister. Let's not fight, Saul. I've been so lonely. You haven't even told me anything about Mama or Papa or Nathan and the others. Please, stay and talk with me. Saul looked as if he was still angry, but he sat back down. My cot groaned under his weight. Papa and Mama work all day at the clothing factory, Saul said. When they come home at night, they bring bags of trousers to hem. They work together until late. I help, but I can't stay awake so long to finish. Mama and Papa, working so hard. They needed my help. Couldn't the Americans see how much my family needed me? What about Nathan? I asked. Nathan has a job in a bakery. He leaves before light and comes home after dark, his clothes always covered with flour. And you? I go to school, Saul said. Papa says I must get an education. I'd rather be working, but Papa says no. If you were with us, Rifka, maybe he would let me work. Maybe it would be enough for you to go to school. But Saul didn't finish. None of us had any say about whether I could come to join my family and go to an American school. I wanted nothing more than that. But only Mr. Fargate could decide. Saul said, Isaac married a girl named Sadie Chinowitz, of the Berdichev Chinowitzes. What a small world, Tova. My oldest brother, Isaac, comes all the way from Russia, and who does he pick to marry? But a landsman, a girl from our own village, a Chinowitz girl. She's very pretty, Saul said. He said Isaac and Sadie had a baby boy named Aaron. That makes me an aunt, I said, clapping my hands. Can you believe it? Me, Aunt Rifka. I wanted to hold my brother Isaac's baby right that instant. Did Mama ever get new candlesticks? I asked. Saul said they could not afford to buy candlesticks. He said everything they earned they sent to me in Belgium. My dear family, how much they had given up for me. What do you do on the Sabbath? I asked. We work on the Sabbath, Saul said. I couldn't believe my own ears. Mama and Papa working on the Sabbath. I opened my rucksack and took out my pouch of money. Where did you get all this, Rifka? Saul asked. I saved it, I said, from the money Papa sent. Papa sent that money for you to eat, Rifka. What did you eat? I ate, Saul, I said, but I wasn't about to tell him what I ate. I want you to take this money, Saul, I said. I want you to take it and buy candlesticks for Mama. If there's any money left, tell Mama and Papa to use it so they do not have to work on the Sabbath. Do you hear me, Saul? Saul promised about the candlesticks. He apologized for breaking my star. Then he was gone. I had forgotten how lonely I'd been until he was gone. Tova, I have never seen my brother Isaac. He fled Russia before I was born. Now I wonder if I will see him or his baby. Would they send me back, do you think, without ever holding my brother's baby? Shalom, Rifka.